All right. Post show. This is the post show, my friends. This is a new thing that we're doing, but it's not really a new thing. Hi, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome to the post show on this Monday, August 27, 2018. So usually what we do is after the interviews, historically, we used to call this the after hour. Now it's the post show. New York Rick and I answer questions. We talk about the week that was. We talk about betting lines, all kinds of crazy things. And this is something that we'll be doing after the live portion of the show, typically around 3 or so hours. We'll come back, give this to you, and you're probably, if you're listening to this, seeing that it's a separate clip under the same feed, or you'll see it on YouTube and the other usual places. So it won't be lumped in all together if you want to go straight to this, and maybe even enjoy the post show first. Maybe you're one of those people who likes to eat your pizza crust first. I don't hate you. Eat it crust first. Watch the post show first. Listen to the post show first. Do whatever you want. And so today we'll talk some betting lines. We'll also answer some of your questions. And let me just tell you, very good questions this week. I've had a personal bet with New York Rick that he does not pick good questions and I pick better questions. And I think I've proven that this week because I picked the questions. So first, without further ado, let me say hello to New York Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I think my questions this week, in all our years of doing this, better than any set of questions you ever picked for any particular show.
Now, does it have to do with the selection or does it have to do with making the call and now the questions are coming that were better?
What are you saying? You're saying that you don't have the, like the sort of connection with the people to get good questions out of them?
I don't.
I would say that your connection with the people is even better than mine.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
I wanted to prove that there are good questions out there. They can be found. You just need to try a little bit, and I think we proved that today. But before we get to the questions, let's talk about Lincoln. Let's put it to bed.
Absolutely.
There were some notable things that happened, right?
Yeah, there were some notable things from a betting perspective that I think are worth touching upon. Eric Anders.
Yes, tell me what happened here.
So he opened at minus 280 and then closed at minus 1,200. So
minus 1,200. I told him minus 1,000. It was actually minus 1,200?
Yeah, at the very, very end, it closed at minus 1,200. He climbed as a huge favorite, which is surprising, I think, because, he's not a proven commodity like that yet. You don't really see those numbers until you see somebody who's been dominant for a long time, a Demetrius Johnson, and even then, very rarely do they get to that level.
Right.
And also surprising because in the first round, it looked like Tim Williams was winning that fight.
Yeah.
He took that first round on my card. So I was surprised to see that. Obviously, at the end, the knockout was incredible and showed that he should rightfully have been the favorite in that fight. But that was surprising just for how drastic that swing is. You don't really see a guy go up 1,000 points in the betting line very often. That's a strange one. Also, one that surprised me.
Do you think it was like legit, or was there any like funny business going on?
I don't think that's the fight, and it didn't really have the indications of any fight that would, that would I would cast those aspersions, but just a surprising line movement. Maybe there was a big bet that just came in on him, and they had to move the line.
Maybe it was Nick Saban. Who knows?
He was vouching for him in a big way on some of those
really?
shows, or maybe it was Anders himself.
I think Eric Anders on the show said that Saban was kind of like in awe of him. What did he say? He was like starstruck or something. I was like, damn, Nick Saban. I mean, look, if he's gonna be starstruck, let him be starstruck. But something tells me he wasn't starstruck.
Yeah,
with all due respect.
I think he's seen a lot of great athletes come through. But big way. I mean, that
Huge.
Knockout was absolutely incredible. Way to get back on track. Obviously, you talked about on Twitter and in the weeks leading up some of the people that you wanted to see how they respond.
3 for 3, baby.
He responded in a big way.
All of them.
Another one. I was surprised by a little bit the betting line coming in. Mickey Gall climbed as high as He closed at minus 325. He had climbed as high in the minus 350 range. I was surprised by that just because of the level of opponent he's faced to this point.
Yeah.
I think that was a surprisingly high line for a guy who's a little bit unproven at this point. He needed to show something in this fight, and boy, did he ever. So, the favorite ended up winning in that case. I thought the line was very high, but he passed that test with flying colors. got the takedown and instantaneously tapped him out. A really, really impressive performance for Mickey Gall. Another guy who you wanted to see how he'd respond, and he responded in a huge way. Some other interesting ones. James Krause was a very big underdog to Warlley Alves. He ended up at plus 270, Warlley Alves minus 330.
According to Westgate, he ended at plus 300. That's what we go by over here, okay? Just
okay, sorry. I was reading
just want to let you know, my guys over at the Stats and Information Group.
Okay.
Okay, shout out to them.
So we'll go by Westgate's number. He climbed as high as plus 300, or rather closed at plus 300, and looked fantastic in that fight, obviously getting it done with the knee. I think even before the finish, it looked like he was closer than that betting line would have indicated in that fight. So another one. That was really the biggest underdog on the card. There were some other underdogs that won, including in the main event. Justin Gaethje was an underdog to James Vick.
Surprising to me.
I think a lot of people were thinking stylistically that Vick was going to be able to give him problems. I think that most people were accounting for the idea of the length and the size and the fact that, Gaethje was just coming off 2 back-to-back losses where he took a ton of damage. I think people were thinking that the momentum was with Vick.
Yeah.
The physical advantages were with Vick, and they were fading Gaethje. But clearly in the first round, he was able to show that was a misgiving and got it done. I think Gaethje, let's see where Gaethje by knockout was in this one.
Well, the last 3, according to my friend Andrew Davis of the same Stats and Info Group, the last 3 winners were all underdogs.
That's right.
Courtney Casey at plus 105 and Michael Johnson at plus 110. And as you just said, Justin Gaethje. Can I just say, while we're talking about that fight, please, to all the fighters who are fighting Justin Gaethje from here on out, stop calling him a D-League fighter, because then what happens when you lose is, like, what does that make you? So
yeah.
I want to, like, Johnson did this, Vic did this. Both great guys, great fighters. Vic will be back. It's unfortunate that he lost his first main event, but stop calling him a D-League fighter. A, he's just not, and B, if you lose, what does that make you?
It also has lost the steam. He's been in the UFC for how many fights now?
Yeah,
like enough already.
Commodity.
This is it.
He's
already here,
commodity.
and he just knocked out James Vick. He was plus 173 by knockout, so you could have gotten plus money on Justin Gaethje with the knockout. As you said, Michael Johnson, Courtney Casey, both underdogs. Now, obviously, those were pretty close to pick'ems, so I think that rightfully their opponents were getting good respect in that one. But well done by everybody on that card.
It was a really fun card, by the way.
It was huge, and the fight I was just about to get to was Cory Sandhagen and Iuri Alcantara.
Fight of the night.
Fight of the night, but Sandhagen was a big favorite coming in, over 2-1. And Iuri looked like he was about to get it done in that first round. That was about to be a big upset if he was able to get it done. Sandhagen doing everything he could to stay in that fight, not submitting, and then getting the TKO himself. Incredible fight. My round of the year so far.
Yeah, I will say the referee who oversaw that fight did a bad job. I didn't feel comfortable, and I don't know if you noticed this. In between fights, as they often like to do, they go to the studio and they say, oh, he's been pulled from the rest of the card. And it just felt like a bit of shaming. Like what? Like, I don't know. It felt like state-run TV to me, watching that. And the guy did a bad job. On the one hand, I understand. Okay, like, we're being critical, but it's almost like we're being critical only when we're allowed to be critical. You know what I mean? When we get the okay from the Dons to be critical, and that one kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
I get it, but at the same time, it is information that's relevant for us. That we, it's
been removed from it. I mean, like, what? Come on. Okay, so this is the guy. He does his first UFC fight ever. Period.
Yep.
Gets pulled. So it's like there's no room. He's not going to be taught to do better. He's just done. He's just taken out back.
He's taken from the event.
Okay, but what if you? Okay, I know it's different. You can't compare apples to apples here, but. What if you're doing your first NBA game and you have a horrible first quarter? You're done? That's it? If you were
the full game.
If you were good enough to be assigned to ref the card by the Nebraska Athletic Commission, you should be allowed, in my opinion, to finish it out. Let's see.
Wow. I can't agree with that.
If you were good enough to get that assignment, you maybe you're nervous in your first fight and you're like, you know what, I'm going to let this go. By the way, I called it borderline criminal. I thought it was a horrible judgment call. But if you were assigned to work, in my opinion, you should work. And then we assess your performance. Did you get better? Did you get smarter?
I don't know if MMA is the type of job where you can learn on the job.
Well, as I've said before, my problem with when they go to these local, not local, but small town shows, this is the example I use forever. When the Thunder first went to Oklahoma City, did the local YMCA Oklahoma City referees get a shot at the big time? No, but for some reason in our sport, you go to Nebraska, the local guy gets a shot at the big time. It shouldn't work that way, but that's how it works. So if the Nebraska Athletic Commission signed it, and by the way, who's pulling who? Who's pulling who?
That's a good question.
Who's pulling who?
Fair enough.
So just a few questions that are raised, and especially when that information is getting out on state-run TV, who's pulling who?
The sentiment, though, or the intention behind it is to help the fighters, is to help maintain that this person will not affect the outcome of a fight and your potential long-term health. So I am with you in the way it was played out and the way that you come to that decision to remove him needs to be transparent and needs to be done in the appropriate channels. But ultimately, they did have the fighters' health and careers in mind in doing it. So I have a hard time arguing with it. I think your point about the idea that these referees should be better trained going into it, so that when the UFC does come to this location, that they're better equipped. That's the number one thing that I think needs to happen. But I mean, the rest of the fight night carried on. Relatively without incident.
Who's pulling who?
Okay.
No, it was a fun fight night.
It was a good fight card.
Anything else you want to say about it?
I think that's it for me.
A couple other things I just wanted to say about it before we say goodbye. So Gaethje, Lee, Iaquinta, these are all people who are gunning. There's the Ferguson Pettis fight. I was told that Iaquinta has been approached about fighting Kevin Lee on the December 15th show in Milwaukee on Fox. I don't believe that Lee has been approached with this, but I was told that Iaquinta has. Does this change things? Perhaps. Lee is calling. I don't know. Does this change things? Perhaps. I would love to see Lee versus Iaquinta too. Of course, they fought once before. Iaquinta won the fight, although you can make a very strong case that Iaquinta and Lee have gotten a lot better since then. So I think, I don't know. I think it would be a good fight.
I like that fight.
I like it a lot.
I think Iaquinta has gotten better. Lee has gotten better. It was a strong finish for Iaquinta. There was no doubt in anybody's mind about that fight. But I think they've both come far enough that I'd be definitely okay with seeing that one again, as long as both parties are willing to do it. And
before we get to the questions, because I do believe that's what's next, I did want to give a shout out to Kid Yamamoto, who announced that he is battling cancer, one of the greatest of all time, the pride of Japan, who's given us a lot of great memories, and is just in his mid-30s. Announced on Instagram last week. Didn't give a lot. Not last week. Maybe yesterday morning. Didn't give a lot of details as to what kind of cancer he's battling or how he's feeling, but he did post in Japanese, and a lot of other people translated it. So we wanted to wish our best to Kid Yamamoto and tell him that we're pulling for him, and hopefully he makes a full recovery and he's able to beat cancer. So all the best to you, Kid Yamamoto. All right. What else do we have?
So we have some questions.
My
We're
great
put
questions.
them up on the screen here. The questions that you curated,
okay.
Let's call it. First question from Connor Fowler. How do you think Mayweather-McGregor has aged 1 year on, and now that McGregor is finally returning to MMA? So two separate portions to this.
Yes.
1 year later, looking back, your thoughts on Mayweather-McGregor?
So, I must say it was fun over the weekend to see so many people get all nostalgic about Mayweather-McGregor. As I said, I think that was probably the most fun that I ever had covering an event. It was just an amazing fight week. And I wish that you were there, because we did those live shows from there. We did 3 live MMA hours. We also did an MMA beat, and it was just incredible, like having to book guests for like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The Wednesday show, we had Baroni and Bonner taking off their shirts and all that. Of course, the Thursday show was the craziest of all time, because the Thursday show was after I stayed up all night waiting for Floyd at his club, and then had 1 hour sleep, came back to do the MMA beat, and then had to do the MMA hour. And that's at the very end of that entire day. that's when I meet Chris Eubank for the first time, and he's reciting poems, and I feel like I'm in a trance. I literally was like seeing double of him at this time. I was so deprived of sleep, and he's talking to me with that voice. I mean, I just never had that much fun. And then, of course, on Friday, we had Isaiah Thomas on, who, broke news about the other Isaiah Thomas who had just been traded, and we ended up on PTI. And Ice Cube showed up. And I mean, it was just so much fun. And then, of course, the event itself. And if you recall, I went on this whole rant on Monday after I said that the spectacle became sport. I will say, though, a year later, the fight has not aged like I thought it was going to age. In hindsight, you kind of think, like, was Floyd, I don't know, was he playing around? Was he letting him, win a couple rounds early? I look back at it with fondness. Perhaps one day I'll tell the story how it was the beginning of the end for me, maybe at MMA fighting. I can see the look on your face. Don't go into that story right now, so maybe I won't go into that story. But I look back on it with fondness. It felt like our sport was finally at the mountaintop, even though it was a boxing event. Like, it felt like, wow, we get to cover an event that the world is watching. Not just the MMA world, the combat sports world, the sports world. Like, the world was interested in it. Everyone was interested in this. We all benefited from it. Our shows benefited from it. Journalists, everyone benefited from it. We were the talk of the world, right? Everyone was talking about it. So I look back at it with fondness. It was fun. Am I going back more towards spectacle than sport a year later? Yeah, maybe. But I think a year later, it's very good that he's getting ready for a fight and has a fight booked. If we were celebrating the 1-year anniversary and he still either didn't fight or have a fight booked, I don't know if we look back at it with the same kind of fondness.
I agree with that, but I think that night made him a star of proportions that he would have never been
100%.
Even close to approaching. And the fact that he hasn't been back since, and the appetite for him has remained as constant as it is due to that fight. He needed that fight to establish himself in the way that he has, and he hasn't looked back since. And I think that was the key moment for him.
100%.
No doubt about it.
If anyone is begrudging him for taking that fight, for taking that opportunity, you're out of your mind. First of all, he made more money than he ever would have in MMA, and he's a bigger star, and he elevated the sport. And if you recall, that night people were saying MMA won, boxing won. So I can't believe it's been a year. And honestly, I can't believe how much attention the 1-year anniversary has generated. But man, that was so much fun. Like, I missed that. And I don't like Khabib Conor won't be that big.
No, that was a moment in time. And it all culminated there. It all was leading to it. The timing was perfect. Everything lined up perfectly. Just the right amount of promotion, just the right things, everything they said, it all culminated. But will we be looking back and thinking of that as one of the all-time great boxing matches or moments in combat sports history? Probably not. No.
Thank God it didn't end in 15 seconds like some people predicted, right?
The way I describe it is it needed to happen. That needed to happen at that time in that exact scenario. And now we've moved on, and now Conor McGregor will be back.
The tour was just a circus, but it was so much fun to go from, LA, and it started off horribly for me because I got kicked off the Showtime thing, but it ended up, I think, being a blessing for us because I think our coverage was better than anyone's. So we went from LA to Toronto, which was insane with Drake being there, and then Brooklyn. And then going to the media day and all that. I mean, it was just the best. You know what was good about it? It was just 2 months. 2 months, and then it was done. It didn't drag on for 6 months. It was just a very quick thing, in and out. And a lot of people keep asking me about Khabib and Conor and the build-up, and if they're going to do a world tour. They're not going to do a world tour. They are going to do an event. Last I heard, in New York, but it's not 100% just yet, and the date isn't 100% yet. But it's not going to be this big thing. I don't think it necessarily has to be. But I would like to see after 228 a little more momentum for that fight, because it just kind of, Conor's doing a great job. Like the last couple of Instagram posts, like holy smokes, putting out
Deep
there something
cuts
about his dad and then his friend, the Chechen. I mean, like holy, like he is not shying away. And this is Conor at his best. This is, remember we had the whole debate last year about him wearing the Warriors jersey, right? The CJ Watson jersey. Like
how deep does it go?
He goes as personal as possible.
Yeah,
he really does. And that's like talking about Khabib's dad. That's just like no one goes there. Like you see the way Javier Mendez and Ali Abdelaziz, like you see the way these people talk about his dad. Man.
Conor is poking the bear.
He is poking the bear, no doubt. So anyhow, it was nice to reminisce, and now we look ahead to October 6th.
Indeed. Jason Jones saying,
My man.
yeah,
Biggest fan on four wheels.
Shout out to Jason. I think this is the 5th event in a row that everyone made weight. Do you think the threat of moving the weigh-ins back to the old time had something to do with it? I would say,
question.
I would say I don't think that was the impact, but what do you make of the idea that fighters are taking this seriously and being on weight?
Well, I have a couple of theories. I actually do think that plays a part. I actually do feel like the threat, like a little kid. I tell my son, if you don't be nice to your brother, I'm going to take away your video game. I think that works. I think that's a real thing. A. B, I hate to say it, but I feel like the old school scale, the beam scale, that plays a huge factor.
It does.
I mean, go back and look at some of those early UFC weigh-ins, and they're like, yep, boop, boop, boop. All right, we're good. But when it's a digital thing, I wouldn't be surprised. No one's said this to me. This is 100% just me, shooting from the hip. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a conscious decision made to stop with the digital scale.
It's a lot easier to read.
Yeah, a lot easier to read. So I think that plays a part. Maybe the guys are getting smarter, getting more used to doing it. Because remember, there could be 40 events a year, but guys are only fighting 3 times a year.
So to sum it up, though, you don't think this is coincidence. You think this is...
I don't think it's coincidence.
You think that there's intention here. Let's everybody's trying harder to be on their P's and Q's so that we don't lose this.
Yeah. I think it's good.
Ryan asks, will the 165-pound division eventually happen? Does it have some sort of does the UFC have some sort of agenda against it? And then we'll get to a second question later. But 165, ever going to happen for UFC?
I don't think it will never happen. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I personally would like to see it happen. I think it would make a lot more sense if we go 55 to 65 to 75 to 85 to 205. I don't know if 195 has enough people, and then heavyweight. I think especially at 155, you have a lot of people who could the Masvidals and the Kevin Lees of the world, and then you have some people maybe at 170 who would rather be at 165, but I know for a fact that they are not interested at this time.
Yeah, and it only makes sense how deep lightweight is. You could actually have another division and not lose. No. You wouldn't be gutting your division.
And look, they need championship fights. That's why they keep creating these interim belts.
You're adding another belt.
You're just adding another legitimate belt, not a fake belt, a legitimate belt. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it, but right now they don't want to do it.
Second question, favorite band / solo artist and or song? What are you liking right now?
Well, number one song of all time, Despacito, I believe it's called. No, I'm just joking. Well, all day we listen to Drake's "In My Feelings" because my daughter now can actually sing it.
Oh, that's funny.
My daughter adores that
That's
song.
Hers. That's her song.
I do like Drake. I know it's not cool to say that, but he's my guy.
What? No, it's definitely... you know what? I'm speaking out of turn there. I don't know what's cool to say. People
say... But this is of all time, or is this currently? Favorite band?
I think all time's lame.
Oh, really? That's lame?
Yeah, because it's like... you probably talked about it at some point, but also... What's happening now is what's important.
Right now, I think there's no one better than Drake, honestly. Cool. And I could see the comments coming. It's just so uncool to like Drake. Like, you have to give me some obscure band. What's Nick's favorite band? Alkaline, something like some obscure band. You got to be cool and say it. I'm not that cool. Yeah. I like what's on the radio. I have to drive to Bristol for 2 hours. I like Ariana Grande. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't mind hearing from Ariana. Or what's her name? Selena Gomez. She comes on. I'm rocking out. There's no problem. I'm full on dad.
Take that, Nick.
Yeah, take that, Nick.
What's on the radio
Alkaline
is cool.
Something or other. Yeah, I'm fine with that, Drake. But I do like old man music too. Like, I love Bob Dylan, John Denver. Love that music. I love that.
I don't listen to music.
You don't listen to music. Period.
No. Podcasts only.
There's not one song that you rock out to.
I turn on the radio from time to time, but I don't download music. I don't use Spotify.
Wow.
I only listen to podcasts. When I'm running, I'm listening to a podcast.
Yeah, sometimes you want to listen to music to pump yourself up. Tupac, Biggie.
Got none of it. I used to.
You have no music on your phone?
Zero.
That's bizarre.
No Spotify account.
Really?
No, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm weird. And
that is weird.
That's one of the facts about me that
Not
people
even with your daughter?
No. Well, I mean, the classics. And then there's something Baby Shark.
Baby Shark.
Yeah.
Your daughter loves Baby Shark?
She likes that. But she's too young to comprehend, really.
But she responds
to the Baby Shark.
My daughter's first year birthday cake was Baby Shark. You got to get that. November.
I will do the baby shark.
Baby shark.
I'll hit you
I'll
up
show
for
you the picture. Did I not show it to you?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Because I don't know if I revealed the baby shark.
Baby shark. Mama shark.
My wife sings it a lot to her.
Oh, it's the best. The best.
So that'll be what I'll be jamming to. What's your take on MMA fighters jumping into the bare knuckle fighting championship? Do you see any more fighters jumping from MMA into that, and why?
Well, to answer the second question first, yes, I do see more.
The fighters that are going into it now, though, are fighters that MMA was pretty much done with.
So that will be their exit plan.
Do you think that current fighters, somebody who's right now going, oh, I could keep fighting MMA or go...
I've actually heard that there have been free agents that they've reached out to and offered a lot of money, and for whatever reason, things didn't come to fruition. But they're trying to get in the game. They're not trying to just be in the over-the-hill fighter game. They actually want to compete.
Or recently retired or whatever the case may be.
I am not going to hate on any fighter who's making money. Go out there and make your money. I do feel uncomfortable with a lot of older fighters who are maybe past their prime now fighting in bare knuckle.
Yeah.
I think you're taking a lot more damage. I think aesthetically it just feels a little off. We spoke about it last week on the show with Chael. I'm just not into it. I think they made a huge mistake by going on the same night as UFC this past Saturday. I think part of their success the first time was nothing was going on. You have to be very careful about the dates you choose. Even going to Friday as opposed to a Saturday, old school UFC style. They used to have all their shows on Friday. Do not go head to head with UFC.
You're tapping into the same audience. Do not go against the biggest in the industry.
And they're not trying to tap into the boxing audience. They're trying to tap into the MMA audience.
Yeah, the MMA fighters are clearly the ones that are carrying the promotion here at this point.
Rawlings, Kendall Grove, Chris Lytle, Rico Rodriguez, Joey Beltran. Like, those are their big names. Don't compete. I don't feel it. And our friends at our former home, MFA, they love it. They're all about it. I can't get into it.
I don't have the same feeling. I like it. I think it's fine. I didn't watch this event because UFC was on and that's what I was watching. But I don't have any problem with it. I could watch it. I thought the first event was fun, but it's not replacing MMA in my viewing taste anytime soon.
And I know for the most part, like the gloves, they're 4 ounces and they protect your own hands. But it's there's something it feels like we're going backwards here. It really does. So
there's a visceral reaction to it. I think that first event may have given some false hope to people that thought that this was going to be something that trended and continued. The second event, I think, was the indicator that, let's slow this down. It might be an alternative, but not a competition. And
not the same night as UFC.
Don't go against them. Okay. Thoughts on Logan versus KSI? Timo is saying he found it fun with unexpected high production quality. Most interesting was how they promoted it. A mix between boxing, WWE, and social media drama. Is this trend here to stay? Celebs with an established fan base compete and skill is secondary.
Now, this isn't a new trend. Celebrity boxing, this is something that's been going on for a long time, but now they're using the internet only, and these are not, actors or actresses. These are just YouTube.
They'd be influencers, quote unquote.
Influencers. I think it's totally bonkers, but I think it's even more bonkers the amount that they're actually generating, the interest, the money, the attendance, the views. I mean, anyone who's knocking this, and by the way, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the promotion. Like, if you look at the videos are very well done. High production, they're telling a story, there's a beef there. It's not about belts or anything like that. So I can't really hate on it. I mean, the Manchester Arena is a legit arena.
Yeah. Is there a point where this can't sustain itself, though? Essentially, do the people that are going to be required to be in there going to have to be too good at boxing at a certain point?
I mean, it can't look amateurish, but I think that
I'm saying the opposite. I'm thinking that will they have to be too good? Will the bar be that you have to be too good at boxing to now do this? Because at a certain point, you can't just keep watching guys who have no experience boxing.
Yeah.
We're right now we're seeing guys who clearly have at least trained, have at least taken this seriously.
A little bit,
but do they have to even elevate the level next time? And now we're getting into just having boxing matches. We're just having
I don't know
guys
how
who are
often
boxers.
it can actually happen. Like the Chris Brown thing is a little silly to me because that's not an influencer, so you're kind of moving away from what
he's
all
a
about.
mega star. He's a real
and I don't think he does it. But I mean, you got to tip your cap because it's not easy to do that.
Yeah,
it really isn't.
It drew attention. I was paying attention.
Incredible amounts of attention. I mean, it's just insane. Everyone was talking about it on Saturday afternoon. Can we go rapid fire? Just hit me the last questions. Very quick. Yes or no? Because I was playing up my questions so much. What do
Jack
we got?
Swagger.
Jack Swagger, December.
It's happening.
Look out.
Walk-in talks.
Yes.
Ever going to see this again?
They'll be back. Give me time.
UFC came out with 25 documentaries to celebrate their 25th anniversary. Joe asks, if
Yeah.
you could direct one, what would it be about? What would be the topic?
I got a topic that no one knows, and I'm
You're not gonna give it away?
Sort of working on it, but I don't want to give it away right now because why should I give it away to my competition? I don't want someone to steal the idea, but I got one, and you're gonna love it.
All right, I'm not going to say one either, just in case I accidentally hit on it. Thoughts on the poster for UFC 229? Thumbs down.
Boring is like so photoshopped.
Have we had any good posters lately?
There've been a couple of Verdun, Volkov, but like that one was just the world is what is that?
Invicta. That's where you go for the posters. Boss Logic does theirs. It's the best stuff. That's it. We're out of here.
All right, great stuff. That was the post show. We'll keep doing
First
this.
ever.
Keep listening. Not really first ever.
First ever in this format. You're going to download it, separate thing.
Yes.
And go to YouTube and watch it. And
yes, you can digest it on your own if you want. Like I said, eat the crust first if you want. Neil Magny, Santiago Ponzinibbio in Argentina. Evan Dunham announced that he's having his last fight in September. Vitaly Minakov re-signing with Bellator. How about that? One championship announcing that they are going to Japan for the first time next year. So I think that is very exciting as well. Ortega Holloway, not quite done for Toronto. It is being discussed, but not quite done. And Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes is done for December 29th in Las Vegas. So that finally gets done, and Chris Cyborg has to wait a little longer. She didn't want to wait, but, in the end, she's going to have to wait. PFL number 7 is coming up on August 30th. That's later this week. That's your last regular season show. As you mentioned, Invicta this week. You're going to that?
I am going. I will be in Kansas City.
And Cage Warriors is back this weekend. Relatively quiet weekend in the world of mixed martial arts. But Patty the Batty, my guy, is fighting this weekend as well. And as I said, we will be back on Tuesday, not Monday, because Monday is Labor Day. Tuesday, live show, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. GMT. So if you missed the interview portion of the show, check that out on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, ESPN.com, ESPN app, all those places and more. And then if you missed any of this, check it out, same places. All right? We appreciate it. Much love. Back next week, same time and place. Till I say peace.